welcome back to another monthly market update for Columbus, Ohio. I'm Ryan Deeter with Key Realty, and in today's video, we do a deep dive into the data that the Columbus Board of Realtors puts out for us for the month of February 2023. Of course, we're into March now, towards late March, and it's always a month behind. But what we saw last February is kind of what I've been seeing in the field is that things have started to heat up. Things have gotten more competitive, a little bit earlier in the season than normal. And I was kind of surprised by that, thinking that the spring market arrived early. And now we have data to back that up, that things have started earlier. We're starting to see, higher increase month over month. Usually it takes about till March to start seeing that month over month uptick. But we're seeing that in February. But and we'll see what that has implications on the rest of the year. Maybe we'll hit that summer market earlier where it flatlines a little bit. So if you're looking to buy or sell, this may be the time, especially sell, this may be the time to get on the train, because it may not be as round as long as it normally is. But anyways, let's look at the numbers. Let's dive into it, and let me show you what's going on. All right, we're now looking at the February numbers for 2023 for the Columbus Realtors data that they release every month, and it's always a month behind, as we've talked about. So we're looking at February, as we now have 2 months of data for the year 2023. And as I've been saying, I've seen things tick up the last few weeks, really the last month especially, and the amount of offers, the amount of competition with offers, and houses seem to be selling quicker and for more money. And the data is kind of showing that. So we're starting to see, the big numbers we're always looking at is the closed sales have been going down. Not shocked by that at all. The listing inventory has been low, so there's most likely going to be less homes for closing as well. But the average price is the big number here that I want to talk about today. As a whole, year over year, we saw a 6.5 increase in the average price for the Columbus average here. And so what that means is basically from last year to this year, we're seeing 6%, 6.5% higher. But what I really noticed, and what I was surprised by we didn't see last month, is that we saw our first month over month increase in pricing. So this is January's numbers were at 302 average price, and now we're at 315. So a little bit of significant jump there. And as you can see, I want to go down this graph. As I've shown you in most of my videos, I show this graph just to kind of remind everyone that housing market in Columbus is seasonal, and we have bottomed out in the market. And as you can see here, this line here is the new year every year. Usually there's a little bit of a flat line before that spike goes up. And this year we actually saw just that little spring market happening early. For whatever reason, whether it's interest rates hikes again or whatnot, the spring market and the uptick from winter to spring has started. It began last month, and we're seeing that we're in the middle of it right now. And so the reason I want to kind of dwell on that for a moment is because what happens is we get a handful of months here where we really start to accelerate, and it's not for another 2 to 3 months to when all of a sudden it starts to flatline and may start to dip again. And so before you know it, all of a sudden, if you're looking to sell your house and you're waiting to say, well, when is the right time to sell? And you wait till, let's say April, all of a sudden it may take 2 or 3 months for you to get your house ready and get in contract and close. And by then, it's already June. And we've kind of missed that mark on the frenzy of things going up, and multiple offer situation, over asking. But even better than all that is the terms. You may get better terms as is. You may not have anybody ask for repairs to be done, or have to worry about replacing your roof or replacing the furnace and stuff like that because it's old. But if it still works and doesn't have any issues, you may get away with selling something in worse condition because of the spring market and because of the competition, as well as getting higher, fetching a higher price and getting that to happen. And then all of a sudden, as we saw in the last few years, we saw that just last year we saw a huge spike, and then a really short little modest growth, and then a dip because of the market change and the interest rates. This is where the interest rates really came into effect at a 7%. We got word that they're going to raise it. They started raising it, and all spring, they kept raising it slowly, quote unquote slowly. It was some of the fastest rate hikes in the history of the market. But even then, it went from when it goes from 3 to 7, it took a little bit of time, but pretty much 3 to 4 or 5 months at most to get up to 7%, 7.5% on average. All of a sudden, that drove that correction back. And now we've seen, everyone's talking about that correction. it wasn't much of a dip in a sense year over year. We did see month over month for a while, but the normal month over month dips is, just what we saw, just a little bit more dramatic than usual. Anyways, long story short, we're starting to see month over month growth again. We're starting to see competition tick back up. So as for good news for sellers, buyers, unfortunately, not great news if you want to get in the market. The only good news is that we are starting to see, a little bit more, hopefully start seeing a little bit more listings during this time, because sellers pick up on this. They start picking up that, oh, it is actually a good time to sell. And they hear the stories from, down the street that the seller got, 10 offers and over asking and, as is and all that stuff. So it's like, well, we were thinking about selling. We're waiting for the right time. Now's the time. And so we start seeing more inventory hit the market when word gets out that it is, a good, quote unquote, a good time to sell. But it's still local. It's still very much, even, market based and neighborhood based, even here in Columbus. It's hard to pay attention to the national news right now and think that, it's a good time to sell or buy a house, but Columbus is its own unique market. So be careful what you listen to when it comes to the national market, and, understand that real estate is still local, even more so than ever right now with everything going on in Columbus. You need somebody that understands the local market. Other things I'm looking at, is, we did see an uptick. We're still seeing high list to close ratio, close to 100%. This is the percentage of these last price received. So if they drop the price even, this is where it's at. So we're still seeing very close to that, almost either list price or above. And we're seeing the tale of two kind of stories here when it comes to listings. I'm noticing that we're seeing listings that are priced fair and even below market are selling for over asking and getting and fetching, the better terms and the better conditions, things like that, versus the people that are trying to push the market and say we're going to price like it was last spring, like today, and they're, $20,000-$30,000 listed over, and they have to wait and drop the price. We're seeing just more houses sit on the market and have price reductions. But at the same time, we're seeing both of those unfold. So we're still seeing the average, close to 100. The good news is that if you're not willing to play the game of multiple offers and jump into things, there may be some things that sit on the market for a couple of weeks before they sell, and you can kind of be more traditional negotiations where you come in low and hope to meet in the middle. We're seeing a little bit of that, not obviously, crazy amount, but still seeing a little bit. So new listings is something I always want to pay attention to. We obviously have a very similar number than last year, which is great. And we're still down, year over year, but uptick from last month. Last month so it is on the rise, which is good. But even last year, we still had very low inventory, still seeing very low inventory, month supply of inventory. I talked about this last month, and kind of going back to my point of percentage of price received, that even though, we're seeing this inventory, it's 50% more than last year. Yeah. It doesn't feel like that in the market, mainly because I think houses are just, not all houses are selling quite as fast as it did last year. So I think we're seeing more houses sit for a little longer, making it feel like they're, quote unquote, on paper, there are more listings, but some of those listings have, just didn't sell that first weekend. So they're still sitting around. There's not a ton of more new listings. In fact, we see here, there's actually less new listings. So to kind of make that point, we're seeing less new listings, even though there's more inventory. So it's not like there's the inventory compared to last year. We're still seeing less new listings. So the inventory that's just sitting a little longer, that's the difference in this number compared to last year, but it still feels, just a very, very low inventory market. And, I say this all the time, that real estate's not, it's not rocket science. It's basic supply and demand. And as supply is down and demand is still elevated high, demand has gone down compared to the last 2 years, but the last 2 years was demand was out the roof. And now we have a normal, I would quote, maybe say a normal average demand, but still a very below average supply, very, very below average supply, still need more supply, that the market still very steady here in Columbus. In fact, we're seeing the growth, seeing the spring market come back. And that's why, just simple supply and demand. We haven't built fast enough and haven't built enough, obviously, for the population growth in Columbus. And people still need places to live, and markets aren't always determined by interest rates. And as we're seeing that here in Columbus, that, yeah, it definitely slowed the price growth down, but it's still a very steady market, and it's still a growth market when it comes to prices we're seeing. So hopefully this is helpful. If, of course, if you have any questions you'd like to have answered about this, happy to do a deep dive with you. Happy to talk about your neighborhood, because some neighborhoods are different than other neighborhoods. And something I was looking at today is, if you actually go back, the Columbus MLS, and this is a free resource for everybody. It's a public resource, but you can actually go and search by your school district. So let's just click on I was looking at Westerville School District today, and I was kind of surprised to see this, that Westerville School District actually had an average price drop. So, this is stuff you got to, kind of pay attention to. The only thing I would say about this is, it's not, the prices really aren't falling. It's the size of homes that are falling. You see that, average price actually went up and the median price went up. So just means that the average price is based on, the homes that are selling are probably smaller, less desirable homes, just smaller square foot homes that are going to be less expensive because they're smaller. But at the same time, we still see that 3%. So you got to take these numbers, all three together, and kind of say, what picture is it painting, and what does that mean? The median price is up 8%. So there are some, larger homes still selling as well. So anyways, hopefully this is helpful. Hopefully that kind of paints a picture of what I look at on a regular basis, and kind of helps you navigate this market as well. Have a great day.